The first time the little girl reached up, wrapped her tiny arms around the powerful woman's legs, and called her mommy, the entire room seemed to forget how to breathe. A self-made CEO, feared in boardrooms and respected across industries, froze in place as a single word shattered the armor she had spent years building. She looked down, confused, almost shaken, and her eyes slowly lifted to the man standing nearby, a man whose exhaustion was written into the lines of his face. In that moment, one silent question hung heavier than any contract she had ever signed. Why would a child who was not hers call her that? Before this story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when broken people find each other, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Ethan Carter had never planned to become a single father. His life, once filled with ordinary dreams of shared responsibilities and simple happiness, had collapsed the night his wife passed away unexpectedly after a short illness. Grief did not come to him as dramatic tears or loud breakdowns. It arrived as silence, as mornings that felt heavier than nights, as a constant ache that lived behind his eyes. His daughter Lily was only 3 at the time, too young to fully understand loss, but old enough to feel the absence of warmth she once knew. From that moment on, Ethan became everything at once. He became the provider, the comforter, the teacher, and the one who whispered reassurances into the dark when Lily woke up crying for a mother who would never come back. Years passed, but the struggle never softened. Ethan worked long hours as a project manager in a tech firm, juggling deadlines with daycare pickups and sleepless nights. His world shrank to routines, survival, and the fragile responsibility of raising a child while barely holding himself together. There was no family nearby to help, no safety net to catch him when exhaustion knocked him down. Every smile he forced at work hit a man who was afraid of failing the one person who depended on him completely. Across town, Clara Whitmore lived a very different life. As the CEO of a rapidly growing corporation, she was admired, envied, and sometimes resented. She had built her empire from nothing, climbing her way up with relentless determination after growing up in foster care, shuffled between homes where affection was rare and trust was dangerous. Success had been her shield, her proof that she was in control. Yet behind the tailored suits and sharp decisions was a woman who returned every night to a silent apartment, where awards gathered dust and loneliness echoed louder than applause. She told herself she did not need anything more. She told herself that emotions were distractions. Still, there were nights when she stared out at the city lights and wondered why success felt so empty. Their paths crossed when Ethan's company was acquired by Clara's firm. The transition was brutal. Jobs were restructured, expectations raised, and fear spread quietly through the halls. Ethan worried constantly about losing his position, knowing that one missed paycheck could unravel everything he had worked to hold together. Clara, determined to prove her leadership, personally oversaw departments, walking through offices with a sharp eye and an unreadable expression. To most, she was intimidating. To Ethan, she was simply another obstacle he had to survive for Lily's sake. Life, however, does not always respect the walls people build around themselves. One rainy afternoon, daycare called Ethan to say Lily had a fever and needed to be picked up immediately. He looked at the clock, then at the meeting schedule that could determine his future. Panic clawed at his chest. With no one else to call, he did something he had never done before. He asked for understanding. Clara noticed the tension in his voice, the way he tried to remain professional while clearly unraveling. Against her usual instincts, she approved his leave without hesitation. That small act changed something. Over the following weeks, Clara began to notice Ethan in ways she had not before. She saw the way he stayed late to make up for lost time, the way he kept a small drawing tucked into his notebook, the way his eyes softened whenever his phone lit up with Lily's name. When a company event required employees to bring family, Ethan hesitated but eventually brought Lily, unable to find childcare. He expected judgment. Instead, something unexpected happened. Lily, with her untamed curls and curious eyes, wandered into Clara's presence without fear. Children, unlike adults, often see beyond titles and reputations. Clara knelt instinctively, offering a gentle smile she did not know she still had. Lily studied her carefully, then did what felt natural to her heart. She clung to Clara and used a word she associated with warmth, safety, and the love she missed every day. The room fell silent. Clara felt something crack inside her, something old and fragile. She had never been called that before. Not even close. The word echoed through memories she rarely allowed herself to revisit, memories of wanting someone to choose her, to stay, to care. She stood slowly, her composure shaken, and looked to Ethan, confusion and emotion written across her face. Ethan did not respond right away. He saw the shock in Clara's eyes, but he also saw something else. He saw vulnerability. Later, when the moment had passed and Lily was distracted by toys, Ethan finally explained, not with excuses but with truth. He explained that Lily had grown up watching other children with their mothers, hearing stories, feeling an absence she could not name. He explained that sometimes, when someone showed her kindness, consistency, and warmth, she attached that missing word to them. He explained that he never corrected her harshly, because in Lily's world, love was not something to be limited. That explanation stayed with Clara long after the event ended. It followed her home, sat beside her in the quiet, and whispered questions she had avoided her entire life. Why had a child felt safe enough to see her as a source of comfort? Why did that word feel like both a wound and a gift? She realized that for the first time, someone had seen her not as a CEO, but as a human being capable of care. From that day on, small changes began to unfold. Clara found herself asking Ethan how Lily was doing. She adjusted meeting times without making a show of it. She authorized family-friendly policies she had once dismissed as unnecessary. Ethan, in turn, felt something he had not felt in years at work. He felt seen, supported, and valued as more than just an employee. Trust slowly replaced fear. Outside of work, life continued to test Ethan. Lily's illness returned, medical bills piled up, and exhaustion threatened to break him. One night, overwhelmed and sitting beside Lily's hospital bed, Ethan realized how alone he still was. Yet help came from an unexpected place. Clara, informed quietly by hour, showed up with resources, connections, and a presence that did not demand gratitude. She sat, listened, and stayed. The bond between them grew, not as a sudden romance but as a quiet understanding. Clara learned what it meant to be needed not for her power, but for her compassion. Ethan learned that accepting help did not make him weak. Lily, at the center of it all, thrived in the warmth of stability and care that surrounded her. Months later, as Lily ran laughing through a park, holding both their hands, Clara understood the truth behind that question that once left her speechless. The word mommy was not about biology. It was about presence. It was about choosing to stay, to care, to love even when it scared you. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that broken beginnings do not define the ending, take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement tells us these stories matter. And before this story ends, tell us in the comments what this journey made you feel and whether you believe love can find us when we least expect it. In the end, Clara Whitmore did not just find an answer to a question. She found a family she never knew she was searching for. Ethan found relief from a loneliness he had carried in silence. And Lily, with the simple honesty only a child possesses, reminded them both that love does not need permission, titles, or perfection. It only needs a heart willing to stay.